This is Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss our memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
No Pete again. And I'm Giff.
Good one. He was thinking about it before we got on here, people.
Yeah.
He came up with a good one.
If you're in our friend group,
we still don't know when Pete's coming back. But
no.
That's all we have to say.
Idea.
Although he will draft tonight. We've got his draft list ready to go at the end.
And he does have a non-0% chance of a planes, trains, and automobiles type situation in order to get home for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, with the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my wife was just in Boston this weekend, and she was panicked very much that she wasn't going to get home. But the airline did cancel a whole bunch of flights, but not hers, and she got home on time. Well, that's great.
Because they knew that she was there for her birthday, and they didn't want to ruin her birthday trip.
So she got to see the Cheers bar too while she was there, which we love.
Oh yeah.
So they went to the real one where it has the sign out front, but then there's also a Cheers, like I didn't know that there is an actual Cheers like replica bar in a different place.
Right.
And they didn't see much there. She didn't get many pictures. It was pretty crowded and everything, but she also didn't care quite as much as I would have, but she did like Cheers. So
yeah,
I'm glad.
Well, it's hard not to. Hard not to.
All right. Well, we are going to talk not about Cheers, although we did last week. How about that? It's all
yes, we did.
We're going to talk about planes, trains, and automobiles tonight. Automobile?
PT&A, baby.
And this is a great, great movie that we all love and have loved forever. And 5 years in, we're finally going to talk about it. And here we go.
It's almost criminal. It's taken us this long to get to this movie.
So before we talk about it, though, I can't remember if you watched it or if you were finishing it. Did you watch the John Candy documentary on Amazon yet?
Yes, I think I watched it either the day it came out or the day after.
That's right. Now I remember you actually watched it before I did.
Yeah, very, very good, very touching. Dan Aykroyd, I mean, good Lord, what a great eulogy that he gave.
Him and Steve Martin were, of course, great in there, and it was. I really liked seeing all the old like SCTV stuff, and it's just, we grew up, of course, in America and with Saturday Night Live, but you didn't because you didn't have NBC. But
I grew up in America. I did.
But when you see that cast of characters, it was on SCTV. I mean, it boggles the mind that they were all on that show together and that they all came from that same place, and how they all became so big here afterwards.
Right.
It's crazy. And he was a big part of that, of course.
Yeah. And I mean, I got choked up at the end when they talked about, his funeral procession, and then they realized that they closed the freeway for him. That's something they only do for presidents. And to think that they did that for Mr. Candy. And, he's not American, right? And still that respect that was given and very much earned by his career. It was very touching. So, yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was a great, great documentary.
And produced in large part by Ryan Reynolds, who I don't know if you ever saw when they had the premiere of it. Yeah, he drove to it in the probably the car, but the planes, trains, and automobiles burned up car, which is pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, we'll talk a lot more about other John Candy movies as well later with our draft, because we're going to focus on John Candy and Steve Martin, one of the greatest comedy teams, one-off comedy teams ever here in this movie. Yeah. Do you remember when you first saw this movie?
I don't remember. Weird that I don't. Of course, I never do. But I've got to assume
Your uncle's VHS tapes.
I don't think it was. I think it was edited on television. Probably ABC Movie of the Week or something.
Yeah, it was on. Because did you remember that in the TV versions they had some extra scenes included?
I didn't, but I read about that they did have, extra stuff. And there's a ton of stuff in the trailer that isn't in the movie.
The reason I remember that is because one of our friends, Jamie Norgard, who I got to see a week ago, which is pretty cool.
Lucky.
But there was a scene on the airplane where it was a little bit longer, and there was like a brownie, and the old guy standing there was talking to him, and And he just thought like what they did there was and he talked about it like that is the funniest thing he'd ever seen. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not even in the movie. Mm-hmm. But it turned out that was one of the things that was in the TV version that he saw and was referring to. So that's why I know there was that stuff in.
Right. So I don't have a distinct memory, but how about yourself?
Okay, well, I do remember. I mean, maybe I saw it before this. I don't know, but I feel like the first time I watched it is a time I specifically remember. And so I was at another one of our friends, Joe Gruce. We were at his house. Just me and him had a little sleepover on a Friday after school. Nice. So this would have been in 7th grade. And so I was doing the timing. And so this would have been January of 89. So I don't know if maybe I saw it before that, because that would have been, a full year after the movie came out. But anyway, we rented this movie and we went back to his house and watched it. And this turned into like this really memorable, awesome weekend because we had a huge blizzard. And my one night sleepover at my friend's turned into 2. I didn't have to go home till Sunday because the snow was so bad. And so we ended up doing all kinds of stuff. And I vividly remember that weekend. It was awesome. But one of the things that we did was watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Well, Ruthven's always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
So
especially when you're 13.
Right.
But I love both of these actors. And of course, these are coming off like Three Amigos and Spaceballs, which I had seen by this time. So I was a huge fan of both guys. I had seen other movies too, but those were 2 of the more recent big ones that I loved. And just the jokes hit, even though, it's not totally, it's got humor that's it's not your stupid humor, all of it. So
some of it is, but
a teenager might not find it all that funny. But of course, I was always above that. But the camaraderie of these 2 was just great, and I loved it right away. And I knew I was going to love it when we put it in, and I did.
And you had mentioned that you'd seen Spaceballs, and this is, of course, years before you had seen any of the Star Wars movies.
Oh,
correct?
Sure, yeah. I saw Spaceballs in the movie theater on another friend, Eric Hagen's birthday. His grandma drove us to that movie.
Oh, man, you had quite the social life growing up.
I did. Well, you just sat there out on your farm. I was on a farm too at this time, but my parents brought me to go places.
Always working. That was me.
So it did come out on November 25th of 1987, one of the greatest years of all time for many, many reasons. A $15 million budget, and it made over 50, which, I mean, I thought it would be bigger than that. Like, that's still, it made its money, but I would have thought it would have been a bigger hit in the theaters than that.
Tickets didn't cost that much. You know what I mean? So that's going to skew it a little bit.
But still, movies back then would make, 100 million, like the big ones would.
Comedy. I mean, usually this is pretty damn good for a comedy, considering you're bringing in 3 times your budget. I mean, that's a huge success.
I don't know. I would have put it a little higher, but
sure.
And it was also critically acclaimed. So it has 93% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and 87% from the fans. Which, again, why are they lower? Why are there 87% fans? I'm starting to wonder about Rotten Tomatoes.
Come on, you're a teacher. 87% is a pretty good test score.
No, but I think there's a lot of people that go on there that fancy themselves, like writers, and they probably just drown the whole thing out with their reviews that they think are so important. That's my theory.
There you go. Yeah, come on. It's a wonderful film, and like I finished watching it last night, and I mentioned to Courtney, I was like, it's amazing what they fit into 97 minutes.
It's because it is just an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it is crazy how much is in here because it doesn't feel fast.
No.
And in a good way. It's not like that's a bad thing.
But it is amazing. Speaking of 97 minutes, the original cut to this movie was 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Yep. I got that down.
In this research that I did for the movie, I didn't know this. I didn't know that there was all this extra footage. So you dig into it a little bit, and I kind of viewed it differently this time, knowing all of these different side plots that they'd cut out.
Yeah, and it does affect one of the characters, especially, who kind of sucks in this movie. But when you hear, it makes more sense anyway.
Well, are you talking about the missus?
The wife, yeah.
Yeah. So I always remember watching this movie, and at the end when, Neil comes home and his whole family's there and waiting for him to come in, and then, his wife is like,
what's your deal?
Not in the room. And I, as a kid, and later as an adult, I always just thought, oh, she just misses her husband so much that she's just taken aback by him finally being home, and it's just amazing. But there was a subplot where she thought that Neil was cheating on her, and because he ends up taking how long to get back to New York or to Chicago.
We will have to talk about the time. There are some real time stretches, weird things in this movie.
Huge.
First of all, it's only 2 days. It feels long, and they go through a shitload, but it's only 2 days. But like when he says, I've been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday. Well, that was yesterday.
Right.
That was yesterday, okay? That happens all the time. Big deal.
If you wear underwear. But yeah, I mean, so that of it, like, I was like, okay, this makes a little more sense now that she's so a little different and not like waiting by the door for her man to finally come home. And then, of course, there's also a great moment with the trooper. There was a subplot that
Michael McKean,
yes, who had fourth billing in this movie, by the way.
Oh, at first,
yep. And still has fourth billing.
Well,
but
does he?
Yeah.
His
scene was cut so much because there was a part, if you notice in the film, his patch is a Wisconsin patch.
Yes.
And they overshot Chicago. And so that's a whole big scene. And then, of course, Neil chases Dell around the car, and McKean has to break up the fight, and Neil punches Dell. And that's why you see when they're in this little town after the car's been impounded that Dell has a black eye, which he didn't have before.
And so I don't know if you have any more information on that portion, but it makes sense because the drive from St. Louis to Chicago is 4 hours, and it takes a full day.
Yeah.
So to have it go as long as it does, it makes sense that they're in Wisconsin. But I mean, like, how do you miss Chicago? Like, what?
Coming from St. Louis, yeah, you don't miss.
How does that happen?
They turned north, went through Rockville. I don't know.
Because in my logical brain, I'm doing the timing, and I'm like, just go home. You're not that far away. But when you know that, it adds a little bit of explanation to it.
Well, and as desperate as he is, like, you could have called your wife while you're in St. Louis and said, just load the 3 kids up in the car and come and get me.
There's family, too. How about the dad or somebody?
Just drive down and get me. It's but that 4.5 hours, that's a little bit further than it is between you and I. You're about 4 hours away from me. Like, no problem.
We're getting way ahead too, but it's like when so the car is all burned up, but it's driving and they're driving it. So they're 100 miles out of Chicago at night there. It shows a sign that says 100 miles. Why do you stop at a hotel? Just go home.
Just go.
You're already in the car. It's driving. You're saying that it's going to be good enough. So why would you stop at a motel?
Just go, man. Just go.
Just go. So there are some questions, but it does have to do. And I like that they cut it down because obviously it's better that way. And I'm like, and I love Judd Apatow and a lot of his movies, but I'm like, a lot of these newer comedy guys, they could take some real notes from here about cutting down the length of their comedies that are always like 2 hours and 10 minutes long. And it's like they don't. Right. There's always too much stuff in there.
Well, and when Martin
be a little more discriminate.
When Martin got the script from Hughes, it was like twice as long as what a standard comedy for the time was. And he even mentioned to Hughes, he's like, what are you gonna cut out of this?
And here's a great idea.
Hughes is like,
have a point.
Right. It's so much more interesting for the listener.
For the viewer.
You're right. So yeah, it's amazing how much stuff was shot for it. I read that Hughes shot something like 600,000 feet of film, which is twice the industry standard at the time. So there's a boatload of stuff on the cutting room floor, besides the original 3 hour and 45-minute edit. So, I mean, it would be fun to see some of this stuff. And there was a scene cut out of the end of the movie that Steve Martin was very upset about because it was very poignant stuff that Candy was saying, and he thought it was some of Candy's best stuff that he's ever done, and he was really upset.
And that might be true, but it's already in there. So
yeah, it's beautiful, but there was some extra.
We can get that out of the way right now. Pete wrote it on his notes to us, and I So I banged a drum 5 years ago for Chevy Chase being nominated for an Oscar for Vacation because that comedy performance is perfection, and it should have gotten recognized. And okay, it was all straight comedy, so whatever, they never get nominated. But I agree with what Pete said, and you might too. So Gene Siskel said this was John Candy's best role to date. Obviously it was, but I honestly feel like this is an Oscar-worthy role. It has everything. This is like the Jim Carrey Truman Show. He should have been nominated. He is perfect in this movie in every way. The responses, the faces he makes, the humor, the heart. It is a perfect role, and he's amazing.
Well, when we were talking about what we were going to do for a draft tonight, we were trying to bang some things around and figure it out. I mentioned, well, should we do a draft of primarily comedy movies that are also very touching? And I didn't really have another one, but that is this movie. Like, it's so funny. There are so many awesome scenes, so many great lines, so many funny gags. But the end of this movie it's heart-wrenching. I mean, it gets me every single time. There's so much heart to it. I think that's why it is so many people come back to it time and time again, not only because these two are awesome character or actors in their own right, but it is such a beautiful relationship that's formed in this chaos.
So I did want to read, so Siskel and Ebert gave a big thumbs up, and Siskel said it was his best role, but Ebert wrote a review, and I've got a chunk here, and I just thought it was really well written and really sums up a lot about why this movie is so great. So he said, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is founded on the essential natures of its actors. It is perfectly cast and soundly constructed, and all else flows naturally. Steve Martin and John Candy don't play characters, they embody themselves. That's why the comedy, which begins securely planted in the twin genres of the road movie and the buddy picture, is able to reveal so much heart and truth. Some movies are obviously great. Others gradually thrust their greatness upon us. When Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was released in 1987, I enjoyed it immensely, gave it a favorable review, and moved on. But the movie continued to live in my memory, like certain popular entertainment, like It's a Wonderful Life, E.T., and Casablanca. It not only contained a universal theme, but also matched it with the right actors and story, so that it shrugged off the other movies of its kind and stood above them in a kind of perfection. And that's perfect. Like,
it is.
I couldn't have written it better myself. So thank you for leaving us that Roger Ebert.
Yeah.
But I love the comparison. I told you how, I mean, we're probably not going to be doing it, but like, I would love to do It's a Wonderful Life on our show, like next month or one of these years. We just kind of rediscovered that movie the last couple of years. It is so awesome. And it's got that deal like this. It's got that like almost, magical poignance. It's just, that's what this movie has. And so for him to compare it to stuff like that is really cool. Because you might look at it and think, oh, it's a buddy comedy, or it's just a couple comedy actors and it's got a bunch of stupid jokes. It's so much more than that. It has all that, but it's so much more.
Agreed.
All right.
Very much agreed.
Here is our summary this time. I did not do the we're passing on our royalties from Google this time, because I think most people know the movie and there's not a lot of a plot anyway, so I'm just going to say here's a summary. A guy tries to get from New York to Chicago for family Thanksgiving. He meets an obnoxious traveler he can't shake, and luck and circumstance keep them together for a tumultuous 48-hour journey using every form of transportation imaginable.
Yeah.
That's
good.
I mean, what else you got to say?
I don't think there was a horse involved, but yes, pretty much everything else. I've got a couple other fun facts here.
All right.
I've got a few that I'll kind of mention as we get into the scenes as well. But so Steve Martin chose to do this movie after reading two scenes. One, the seat adjustment, and then the
car. You mean
the
John Candy
tirade? Yes, the seat adjustment in the car.
Because they both have a seat.
Then. Yes. So he read that scene and is like, "Yep, I like that," and the rental car tirade, which is that scene's the only reason this movie has an R rating.
I mean, it'd be PG probably. Otherwise, there's
nothing. It's PG otherwise. Yep. Then a couple other things. People that were considered for Neil and Del. Hughes wanted Hanks for Neil, Tom Hanks, but he was busy doing Big, and he also wanted Travolta for Del, but the studio didn't want Travolta because at the time he was considered box office poison.
Yeah, John Travolta. Wow, that's weird.
Other people considered for Del were Dudley Moore, Bill Murray, Robin Williams, and John Goodman. And for Neil, Chevy Chase and Michael Keaton.
I could see Michael Keaton.
I could see Michael Keaton and John Goodman would be.
And Tom Hanks, too.
Robin Williams could do either, in my opinion. But, yeah, just absolutely amazing.
Well, let's go through the cast then. Is that your last fun fact?
Yeah, other ones I'll just kind of mix in here.
So obviously we have Steve Martin and John Candy. We've already talked about them. If you listen to this show, you'll know that my number one man crush person I love in my life, as far as an entertainer, is Steve Martin for a multitude of reasons. Mm-hmm. You can go back and hear multiple episodes about that. But, John Candy, man, he really, he's the glue to the movie. As much as I love Steve Martin, I mean, it's John Candy makes the movie, and it's his performance that it drives it all home.
Yeah, ultimately in the end it is, but I mean, Steve's again. I've said this before, but I know
you're right. It's like it's both of them. Yeah. It's the contrast is.
I've said this before that there are certain actors that remind me of you.
Oh, like
Steve Martin,
like in Steve the hotel when he's yelling at him.
Well, no, just more so the way he is just annoyed all the time in this movie.
Well, I'm like, by the way,
this is Brad.
He has a right to be annoyed most of the
time.
I mean,
totally.
Del, as much as we like Del at the end, come on.
Well, and that's one of the beauties of the movie is that it does set up where you really don't like Del. I mean, he's obviously at fault for so much stuff in this movie that happens
your socks
to Neil.
Off on a plane.
Yeah. Like, that's not what you're going to be doing, right? And so all these things that are happening are, because of Del, for the most part. But then that's the wonderful part is Del works his way in, just like he does. He works his way into Neil, right? Like at the end, Neil loves him. And of course, we all love him as well.
Yeah. Okay. So then the other thing that kind of pulls the heart in is not in the movie, but it's a John Hughes movie. Yep. And at this time, all you're thinking of with John Hughes is the teenage comedies and the high school comedies. So this is quite a departure from most of the recent ones that he had done. And he nailed it. I mean, it's got that same thing where it's funny, but it has the heart, and he just did it with adults instead. And it's a wonderful script. Well, maybe the script was way too much, but he did a great job of being willing to pare it down.
Right. His editor deserves a lot of credit here. But yeah, he wrote, produced, and directed this masterpiece.
You have most of the other people are pretty small parts. You have Kevin Bacon in it, who is only in the beginning as a cameo. He doesn't even talk, right? I'm trying to remember now.
Nope.
No, he's just chasing the taxi against Steve Martin. And he did it as a favor to John Hughes after they made She's Having a Baby.
Yep. And he was fifth billing in this movie.
That makes sense.
So again, that shows like how much these characters dropped off from our main two. I mean, they're on screen constantly. So
I have them backwards in. But fourth billing was Michael McKean, who we already hit on a little bit. But of course, he's off of SNL and Spinal Tap. And so in 87, I mean, he's a pretty well-known comedian. So you can see why they maybe would have had a bigger role in mind for him. Yep. But it becomes very small.
Right. And of course, third billing is Susan Page, Leia, how do you say her name? Layla Robbins?
Layla Robbins, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's who had third billing. And of course, she's probably on the screen the third most of anybody in this picture.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and maybe you don't have it in front of you, but sixth billing then should be Edie McClurg.
Yeah.
For her role in the
car rental
scene. And she's perfect. From the beginning to the end, the whole on the phone, the annoying, the gobble gobble, all the way to her last two words, which we'll get to that in a minute. But she's perfect.
Yes, we will.
And of course, she's on like the Hogan Family, and she was in Ferris Bueller, and so I mean, she was like a huge thing in the '80s. We all loved her. I don't know who Dylan Baker is, but he's the guy that plays Owen, who picks him up in his truck, and his role might be one of my favorite roles ever in a movie.
Yes,
everything he says is absolute gold.
I believe this was his first credit as well.
Wow. Good for you.
So he absolutely killed it. Yes, and in honor of Owen, when I signed into our broadcast this evening, I named myself as such. So
we'll talk more about him in a minute. We have one of our favorite actors, one of our most discussed actors on this show, Larry Hankin, who was Kramer in Seinfeld, and as far in the TV the show that they wrote, and then he's been in everything, Breaking Bad, and everything else. And Friends. So he's the Friends, Mr. Heckles.
Heckles, yeah.
And so he is the taxi driver who's proud of his town of Wichita.
And he should be. And such a sweet ride that he's got too, with the hydraulics and the whole bit.
Yep. There is a lot of crossover with Ferris Bueller, because then you also have Ben Stein here, who works at the airport, and he is, of course, Bueller. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning of the movie, the coworker for Steve Martin is Lyman Ward, who was Ferris Bueller's dad.
That's the first note I made. So Ferris's dad is here.
So you got 3 different Ferris Bueller actors in this movie, along with a bunch of others. So those are the ones I wrote down. Did you have anybody else?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I had anybody else, unless I run across something in my notes. But no, those are the big ones. And how do we know that this isn't Ferris's dad? Right?
Well,
it's a John. No, but he's traveling back to Chicago because Neil tells him.
Oh, that's right. He's taking the later flight.
Yep,
that's right.
So very, very well could have been Ferris's dad. I mean, we don't know what Ferris's dad did in the movie, but he was a businessman of some sort. So I like to think anyway that this is in the same universe.
There's theories out there about how some of these movies are in the same universe and do that. So you should start that one. It's probably already out there.
I'm sure it's already out there, right?
All right, well, we're going to run through this with our favorite lines in each scene and just some of the stuff that that we love. So we'll start with when they're at work, getting the taxi, getting on the plane, that whole opening part there. I do love, though, and I got excited for this, I love the opening credits. I love the sounds of all the automobiles. And when the planes, trains, and automobiles in big capital letters whooshes across the screen. I just think that's cool. I've always loved that.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, so you have the race between Neil and Kevin Bacon's character. They're opposite sides of the street, and that's just great. And again, you feel like things are going to work out for Neil. You're still stupid enough to think that in this movie. And as he's turning into the street to go to the cab, trips over this trunk that is there. Why is there a trunk in the middle of the street? And that's a bit of foreshadowing for what we're going to get. So Kevin Bacon,
of course. The trunk is kind of its own character. That could have 7 filling in the movie, actually.
Oh, speaking of the trunk, and all of our cut scenes and our extra storylines, there was a storyline that Dell's wife, mummified body, is in the trunk.
Well, I think I read that somewhere once too.
And oddly enough, it didn't test well, so they took that out, because he's always in and out of that trunk throughout the whole the movie, because he opens it in Wichita. He's getting all his stuff out. He keeps his pillow in there, hypoallergenic and all that. So he's in and out of that trunk. So you would kind of notice a mummified body.
Well, he also has a good library in there, because I like, and when we get to the airport, the book he's reading is called The Canadian Mounted.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And Ryan Reynolds has had that book in his movies, one of the Deadpool movies. Yeah. He's such a massive fan of this movie in particular, and of John Candy. So he tries to bring things in, like in the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I don't know if you saw that, but there's a nowhere land, kind of where things get deposited, and the burnt out carcass of the car you see in the landscape of that area.
In the new Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
I did see that. I didn't notice.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's always trying to put something from this movie in a lot of his movies.
Now, you mentioned that we're not supposed to like Dell, but I did write down, that right away, when he realizes who Steve Martin is and they meet each other in the airport, he shows his empathy right away and he apologizes profusely for stealing his cab. Like, he feels bad about it. So you get that idea right off the bat of, like, he might be annoying and whatever, but he's not a bad guy. He wouldn't try to steal it. He cares about other people, which, is very important because that's his character.
Right. And I love the different takes they had. Of course, Neil is angry. You're the one who stole my cab. And of course, Del comes back with, "You're the crazy guy who tried to jump in my cab." So yeah, it's great to see this meet up for the first time. But and again, he's not a bad guy. Del is never, a sinister character, but it's just the happenstance around him and the chaos around him that always sinks Neil's plans. And it's not even always Del, because as Neil gets on the plane, he's got a first class ticket and he gets bumped right away. That's not Del's fault.
No. Well,
and so he gets bumped, but luckily he gets bumped to a middle seat in coach, sitting
a middle seat too,
right next to Del. So, and we did see another actor here. The guy on the window seat is in Home Alone. He's the old married couple where
at the airport in France.
Yep. Yeah, so he's
I recognized him, and I thought and maybe it's the same guy, but I couldn't find him in the credits. I thought he played one of the old guys on Seinfeld when they were sponsoring, like, senior citizens, and the old guy lives with the woman, and they're stealing his records. He looks just like him, but I could not find that in any credit.
Is that not him?
That's who it was. Well, that's what I thought, but
that's the same guy. He's in Home Alone. Gentleman's name is Bill Irwin. Yeah, I could have swore that was the guy from Seinfeld.
All right, well, you keep trying to
maybe he was uncredited in Seinfeld. Who knows?
Anyway, as bad as things were there, they're on the plane on the way to Chicago. So it's like, okay, Del, it's not a long flight. Neil, he'll get home and he'll move on from there. But
hour and 45 minutes.
The plane gets rerouted to Wichita because of the weather. And I love this line from Del: "We'd have more luck playing pick up sticks with our butt cheeks than getting out of here tonight." That's from the airport.
Yes, I enjoy the line from the plane where Neil is in the middle seat reading. He's got his little reading light on, and Del is next to him sleeping, and he looks over at him, and Del just cracks an eye open. $6 in my left nut says we're not landing in Chicago.
Yeah. So, but Del is a world traveler, or a country traveler anyway. He knows what's going on, so he got a taxi right away and got a hotel, and so it ends up, of course, that Steve Martin has to go with him because he has no other option, and that's where we meet Larry Hankin in the taxi.
Yep.
And the great line, like, "Well, why did we go this way, and why didn't we just take the interstate?" And he's like, "Yeah, I thought you might want to see some of the sights." And Del goes, "Well, he's proud of his town. That's a damn rare thing these days."
Yes. So before that, at the airport, so first off, they're in Wichita. That's an 11-hour drive to Chicago. So that's where we're at now. We're 11 hours from Chicago. Also here at the Wichita airport, we see Ben Stein as the gate attendant. And behind him, did you notice the destination behind him at his gate?
Did not.
It is to nowhere is the destination. So yes, they finally get to this very seedy hotel.
The Braidwood Inn.
And they, there's a whole thing. Del's talking to the front desk guy who knows
Griffith,
Del.
How the hell are you? Because Del knows everybody everywhere, and he's friends with everybody.
As he should be, right? He's a traveling salesman. He relies on these relationships to make his living, and being amiable as he is helps him sell the best shower curtain rings on the planet. So, of course, he knows everybody. I'm surprised he didn't know the taxi driver, although he's talking to Doobie like he knows him, or maybe just that's the way he is. He's just that personable. So there's the situation where the credit cards get swapped, and they only have one room left because, of course, like Brad said, all the flights coming in. Yeah, so they get into the room and they see just one bed, and of course there's a lot of tension there. And
I just love the hotel. Or go ahead.
And right away, Del looks at Neil and says, want to take a shower? Yeah. Of course, that's like, oh, I didn't mean, no, do you want to go first? Like not together.
And Neil should have said, yes, I do, and gotten it done.
Oh, my God, yes.
I just love the 80s hotel decor. I love the curtains and the bedspread and the big blue palms. It's so tacky and it's amazing. But
there's a plant in the corner. Yeah.
So Neil does take his shower, and there's only one tiny towel left when he's done, like a little hand towel. Not even a hand towel, a washcloth.
Washcloth, yeah.
But so I've always had this question. How did he get in his shower and not notice that this bathroom was destroyed and all the towels were gone? I mean, was Del really in there doing all this while he's in the shower? Because I don't think so. They wouldn't have done that.
I don't think so either. Right.
So that's a pretty big plot hole, but, it makes for funny stuff.
Right, and this is where, again, they're setting it up where Del is just so unbelievably annoying because he goes first, he uses every towel, just trashes the bathroom. The whole vanity top is covered in about half of the contents of that trunk. He's smoking in the bed while Neil is doing his shower. He ended up having beer on the vibrating bed, which exploded.
Which we don't see that.
We don't see that.
But they refer to it, because that was in the extended cut. But they referred to that. You got beer on the bed.
And you've got him, they're laying in bed, and Del's cracking his knuckles and his neck. And then he starts clearing his sinuses.
Oh, my God.
And it finally comes to a head.
Time, though, I love that before that happens, he gets really loud, and he kind of stops and goes, sorry.
Yes. So this is the peak of Del being annoying, right? Like after this moment, it kind of starts going the other way, but you had to have this come to Jesus moment where Neil finally just fucking loses it. Like he can't handle it anymore.
And it is a harsh rebuttal, and it goes on. And when you think it's done, it's not done.
No.
Didn't you notice I started reading a vomit bag?
Yeah.
How can you stand it? And they'll say, I've been with Del Griffith. I know what you mean, shower curtain guy.
Yep. And here's an idea. Have a point. It's just so
And I've seen like English teachers use that to teach kids how to write. I always think that's kind of funny too.
Okay.
But while this diatribe is going on, you keep cutting to John Candy, and his just stoic expression it's perfect. It's amazing. And you can feel it from him, because as much as you might think that he's at fault, like Neil's going way too far. You feel bad. And you think will you stop, guy? You want to just reach over and tell him to stop.
Yeah.
And then his just measured response where he just doesn't yell, doesn't get mad, and ends it with, I like me. My wife likes me. It's perfection. And that delivery is perfection. And that's where one of the times he should have won the Oscar right there.
Well, and I was going to say the reason for the Oscar is because he does stammer. You can tell he's fighting back tears, and he doesn't say I like me.
He says good.
He says I like me. He repeats the I like, because he can't get it out in one breath, because he is, taken back. But he's like, my customers like me. I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
It's the nonverbals too before that. It's just, man, you just look at him and you just feel for him. It's awesome.
Right.
And if it's not bad enough, so they get robbed in the middle of the night. We see that happen. But they end up snuggling and waking up in each other's arms. And then, of course, you have some great lines there.
Oh, of course. Yes. I mean, that's just beautiful, because what the song that leads into it as they pan
I'm back in baby's arms.
And it's panning across the room, across the bed, and now you come to see Del as the big spoon and Neil as the little spoon, and they're just all wrapped up so nice, and Del gives that little peck on the ear and kind of smiles, and then Steve Martin originally gives a little smile too as he's coming out of his slumber, and then we get why did you just kiss me on the ear? And then Del says, why are you holding my hand? And that leads to, where's your other hand?
And I think this might be one of the more underrated, this might be one of the most famous quotes in movie history, I think. Those are
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it comes up when people ask. It doesn't come up right away, but everybody knows that line. My wife is not a big fan of this movie. Mm-hmm. I texted her because she sent me a picture when she was in Boston of her watching Christmas Vacation the other night. So I was at this part, and I sent her a picture of these two snuggling in the bed. Yeah. And she wrote back, "Those are pillows." And I didn't even know if she would think of that, but she knew it.
Yeah, this is gotta be the biggest line of, between two pillows, those aren't pillows. It's got to be the line from this movie. I mean, I got a ton of other ones that I love, but that's the big one, right? And then, of course, you have
what I love one of the biggest lines in movie history, though, not this movie.
Oh, sure.
Just one of the most well-known lines ever.
Yeah. Comedy, that's my argument. Great comedy lines. So I love how they both jump out of bed and they're shaking the heebie-jeebies off them and they start grunting.
See the Bears game?
And flexing. Heck of a game. Heck of a game. And I did read that the game that they would have played the Packers the week before, mm-hmm. in 1987, and they did indeed. The Bears did win that game and had a hell of a team that year.
Hell of a team.
They're going along. They're going to go all the way.
Oh. And that was that weekend. No, this is 87. So actually, the Vikings went to the NFC Championship this year. They got upset by the Redskins in the playoffs.
Well, and that's who the Bears lost to in the playoffs.
No, that's what I mean. The Bears got upset by the Redskins. Oh, they were supposed to win that game and lost.
Yep.
All right. So then the next morning they're having breakfast still in Wichita, and I love this exchange where they realize they're out of money, and Neil right away thinks Dell stole his money, and he's like, goddamn well what? And then
I'm sorry,
Dell looks around and figures out, we were robbed. And he goes, do you think so?
So this is the scene. After that, they're sitting outside the motel waiting for Owen, the nephew of
now they are
of the guy, and they were talking about, okay, what do you have to get do you have plastic? And Neil only had I think a couple cards, and Dell had a card to some big and tall shop in the Northeast or something.
Yeah.
So you would think they would have realized that they had each other's cards at that point, but evidently that didn't come up yet.
There's a few holes.
But we've got Owen shows up in the truck.
Gus's son. Who's Gus? This is Gus's son.
Right. So Owen, the actor came up with the ticks that he was doing for this, just absolutely amazing, because Hughes allows his actors some space.
This guy should have won or been up for Best Supporting Actor.
Okay, let's bump the brakes just a little bit here.
Okay, but it's that great. It's that memorable.
Absolutely amazing. Yes, and he comes out, and I mean, big old boots on, and just the work gloves, the farm gloves. I had these gloves, right? Everybody had them that grew up on a farm. And of course he has the great line of you're going to take us to the train station here in Wichita, and of course,
and he kind of line is, "Unless you're a hog or a cattle, people train runs out of Stubbsville."
Mm-hmm. So I love how when he meets the guys, like he spits and wipes his mouth.
Oh God!
And then reaches to Neil,
and of course it's Neil who has to shake his hand at that time.
Right, and you can just see Neil's face come in the corner of the screen, and just the look of disgust on his face is priceless. And I got a little fun fact about this. So Hughes told the actor to do that, and didn't tell Martin. So he told him, spit, wipe your mouth, and immediately offer it for the handshake. And of course, Steve Martin will shake it. It's in the scene to shake his hand. So he got the look of Martin's just pure disgust, and it was awesome.
So good. So, and then there's more. So then they got the big trunk, and they're gonna have to ride in the back, and so they're gonna load their trunk up, and we find out that his wife is in the front of the truck, and he. Get your lazy behind out of that truck and grab that trunk. And they're like, oh, no. We can do it. She don't mind. She's short and skinny, but she's strong. Her first baby come out sideways. She didn't scream or nothing. And then you want to say the John Candy line?
Oh, you quit.
Isn't that something? You're a real tripper.
The trooper line gets me.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's just perfect.
So Courtney and I have a standing date every week. We go grocery shopping together.
Oh, that's really cute.
And every time we come out of the store, she's usually, pushing the cart or whatever. And I always think of that scene because I'm thinking, okay, she's pushing the cart. She's going to put the groceries in the car because she's small, but she's strong. So
she's short and skinny.
So I always think of that. It always makes me laugh. I think of this scene just about every single week. I love it so much.
Is there a better line in cinema than her first baby come out sideways?
She didn't scream or nothing.
So then we get, right before we get out of this scene here, they're in the back of the truck. And I think the line that I thought was the funniest as a kid that I quoted all the time was, what do you think the temperature is?
1. If I'm driving in the car in the winter and I look down at the car's thermometer for the outdoor temperature and it's 1, you have to bring it up, right? Every single time you see that. I know I do.
Or just if somebody asks you what the temperature is and it's cold out. I mean, I'll think or say 1 almost every time. Every time.
What I do like is as they come into Stubbville, evidently, to get on the train, they're just completely frozen. And, of course, I think, they look like Lloyd and Harry coming through the pass.
Very reminiscent of that.
Yes. So I hope that they, the Fairley brothers stole that from this, just as an homage. But that's what I think of when I see that.
So there are subways at the end or, elevated trains. But the train portion of the movie is very short. So they get on a train in Jefferson City or to go to Jefferson City. And that breaks down within like a couple hours or less. I mean, we don't even know for sure, but they're not long at all.
They got, because Jefferson City is 6 hours and 15 minutes from Chicago. So they would have got about 4 hours and 45 minutes.
All right. So they did it didn't break down right away. Just in the movies, you don't see much there. Well, but this is kind of the key part because before they got on the train, they separate and Neil says goodbye. We're not getting anywhere. And you can see where he's coming from, but you also see the hurt Dell has.
Because he wants to meet up for a drink in the drink car.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, right? They got along.
They've buried the hatchet here.
Right.
But so then when it breaks down and you see they all have to walk a mile and Dell's dragging his case, so then Neil goes and helps pick up the other end of the trunk and now they're back together. So even though it's a short scene, a lot happens. It's important there for the relationship.
Well, and this happens a couple times in the film where Dell's dragging this case and he looks over his shoulder at Neil and sees Neil. And then turns back and woe is me, and keeps walking. He does the same thing. He does the same thing in the highway scene. When they got to drag it off. He kind of going to it. He looks back to see if he's gonna. Sure. So I love. It's always the damsel in distress with this frickin' trunk that he hauls around.
All right, so then they get on a bus to St. Louis, and this is there's a couple funny things in here where they have the people making out right next to them, and Neil gets caught looking, and Del just laughs like you got busted. But they sing a song on the bus because you need to have the crowd needs to have something to do, and Del sings Neil sings 3 coins in the fountain. Come on, you know this. Come on,
you know this one.
And Del just immediately goes Flintstones, the Flintstones. And I love at the end how he yells Wilma too.
Yep. Yeah, and now at this point they're driving into St. Louis, so we are 4.5 hours from Chicago. It's still daylight. This is easy peasy, right? 4.5
Wednesday.
hours.
We know we could put it together. They left on Tuesday. It's Wednesday. They're going to get home at Thanksgiving easily.
Easily, yeah. You basically get home 24 hours later. If you just drive the 4.5 hours, you're done. So this is a great scene in the bus station because these guys are tapped. They don't have any cash, because that was stolen.
So I had a question about this too.
Yeah.
Well, so Del is lying over and over to everybody about these shower curtain rings. I mean, did you feel that was I mean, I know they need the money, but like doesn't that seem very counter to his persona of being such a stand-up good guy that he would lie and mislead people like that?
He's a salesman. As a salesman, you do what you need to do to make that money and do, I don't think it is, because they look like earrings. I mean, I love the inventiveness that he comes up with. These are
a big giant plastic shower curtain hanging from.
These are filled with helium. They're very light.
Neil Armstrong moon rock.
He's coming up with all kinds of. I think it's great. Again, I think it's endearing him to the audience.
It's funny.
Funny. Yeah, and he's doing his thing.
Maybe it's because the lies are so outlandish that it's like the people should know better and whatever.
Well, and it illustrates how Neil is just stuck. He doesn't know what to do. Del, he's in his element. He can figure out how to get out of just about anything and improve his lot. So he's gonna do what he needs to and rakes in 100 bones, just selling his earrings.
In the restaurant, they do split up again, and Neil insists, and Del doesn't take it well there. But see, this all makes when you realize at the end of the movie what Del's situation is, it all makes sense looking back. Mm-hmm. But like he's obviously lonely, and he likes having this guy around. But Neil, admittedly, or for good reasons, thinks they should probably split up.
Well, and I love how Neil goes. He's leading into this conversation. When you look at what we've done when we put our heads together, we really haven't gotten anywhere at all. It's just great. So now we get to the airport. There's no flights out, but what do airports have?
Car rentals.
But
this is funny because Neil is the one who suggested they split up, and immediately nothing works out for him. It's the worst possible outcome. He gets stranded in the middle of effing nowhere with a ticket to a effing car that wasn't effing there.
Right. So two things. How often does a train break down? And how often is a car not there that you have rented?
Not only the missing car, which makes no sense, but I mean, there's shuttles. Is there not another bus going to come very soon that he has to run across that effing runway?
Yes.
And I love the whole when he's getting off like the the overpass and falls through the snow, and it's funny, but it seems very unnecessary.
It's absolutely great, and that leads us to this amazing scene with Edie McClurg as the
gobble gobble,
the counter attendant at the Marathon car rental. And so what adds into it, just to start, is how seething mad Neil is at this point, and he's sitting here watching this woman with a line behind him, watching this woman talk on the phone to her sister about Thanksgiving dinner that's coming up, and she improvised the entire conversation on the phone.
On the phone?
Everything she did, she made up.
And it's good.
She came in to read for this. They had her read, I think Hughes had her read both parts of the conversation, and then she left and never heard anything. And a couple months later, Hughes called her and put her in the movie. And then he basically said, well, just make up something for this. And she did. She just made up the whole thing. And I love how she finishes the conversation with gobble, gobble.
Yeah. Well, and again, what a perfect casting, because he is maybe the angriest and most downtrodden human ever. And then she is obnoxiously happy. Yes. And so the immediate juxtaposition of these two is amazing. Well, his first line, you can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your rosy fucking cheeks. And she's got to step back for a second and take that in. Oh my God, it's good.
Well, and to think there's two tirades in this movie from Neil.
Yes.
And both people that it's directed to take it extremely calmly and do not lash out.
She's good at her job because she even when he's done, she's going to try to help him, but he doesn't have the rental car agreement. So
yes. So this scene is 1 minute long, and there are 19 F-bombs in it. And it is the reason that it has an R rating. I love the whole thing. You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your rosy fucking cheeks, then you can give me a fucking automobile, a fucking Datsun, a fucking Toyota, a fucking Mustang, a fucking Buick, 4 fucking wheels and a seat. He says something about, I don't appreciate how your company left me in the middle of fucking nowhere with fucking keys to a fucking car that wasn't fucking there. I really don't care for the fucking walk down a fucking highway and across a fucking runway to get back here to have you smile in my fucking face. I want a fucking car right fucking now.
Well, and the way he emphasizes the F word every time too. You read it pretty quickly, but like he emphasizes every single one of them.
Yes. And then of course she says, well, can I again, amazingly calm by this woman, can I get your rental agreement? And he says, I don't have it. Oh boy, what? And then she comes back with,
you're fucked.
You're fucked. And that's the end of that scene. And it's perfect. And that, again, like I said, is one of the reasons that Martin did this movie, is because of that scene.
And if Neil isn't low enough and can't get out of his own way enough, he goes out to try to get a taxi. And you got this, tough guy, taxi guy out there. And the first thing he says, if I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak.
Yes.
Like, how do you think the guy's going to react to that?
Well, he immediately punches him right in the face, and he falls on his back, and this car miraculously able to stop right before running him over. Why is Del
driving like an absolute maniac through this little... I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
You will pick my friend up now.
No! I've never seen a guy get picked up by his testicles as they're driving down the road.
They're in the car, and we get to hear Del as if he had just sucked helium for, or not Del, Neil with several lines at the high voice, which is pretty funny too.
Yeah.
But then we get, you mentioned earlier, the power seats in the car, and so now we have these great physical gags with each of them. They each have an issue with the seats.
Well, and have you ever been in a car with a seat that moves that far side to side?
They don't tip 45-degree angle that way. They don't do that.
I always assumed it was moving completely side to side, not necessarily tipping. But this scene, the highway scene for me, is the movie. My favorite part of the entire movie, because there's so much that happens in this scene. So yes, you have the seat adjustment is just the best, because of course Neil says, quit it, stop doing that. You're going to break it. And then of course, when they switch, it doesn't work for him. He gets pressed into the...
It's got these power seats, which is kind of surprising. Mm-hmm. But so then why does the driver's seat that Del's on have these handles on it that he gets hooked on? Those handles aren't necessary if it's a power seat, right?
Right, because they move the... Yeah.
Unless it only has a power passenger seat, which makes no sense.
And does this car remind you of the Family Truckster?
A little bit, yeah.
With the
paneling.
Wood paneling, and the green is just perfect.
The optional and of course, Rally Fun Pack.
Both are Hughes movies. This might have been the Sport Wagon, but just not in the metallic blue.
The metallic, P. Metallic P was their car.
Oh, metallic P.
Antarctic Blue was
Antarctic Blue. Thank you.
With the optional Rally Fun Pack.
So again, Neil is pissed because the seat doesn't work. And again, he says, how annoying Del is. So Del's like, well, I'm just a nice guy. I don't point out stuff that you do.
You play with your balls a lot.
You play with your balls a lot. It's just such a great thing. And he says something, and Neil says, what would make me happy? And Del goes, another couple balls and an extra set of fingers. Just such a great line.
I love when Neil falls asleep. I love the mess around scene, and not just the moving and the air piano, but I love the air sax and the thumb in his mouth. It's awesome.
And then how the song ends, he's like, he's just right there, conducting the song.
And then, of course, we have maybe the other most famous line. You're going the wrong direction. Yes. You're going to kill somebody. How does he know which way we're going?
Yeah. How would he know where we're going is one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. Like, of course.
The fact that it makes sense to Neil, like, that makes sense, right? Because he's
waking up. Yeah. He's not completely there. Because, of course, again, this is like, Dumb and Dumber. He gets spun around, and he turns the wrong way. Like, that's how they end up in Nebraska. But here, he gets spun around after he can't get his coat. The way his arms both get caught in the seat, and now he's driving with his legs. And he thinks he can do this. And he's like, calm, easy. And then he just loses. I mean, he just goes crazy trying to get his arms out of his jacket. And they spin around, go up the ramp, and then, come back off the wrong way. And it's awesome. They accuse the other driver of being drunk.
Yep.
Is great. And then they see the semis coming at them. And now this car is in real dire straits.
When they go through the semis, the little flashes, and when Del is wearing the devil, Del's wearing the devil suit. That's just awesome. And then they have basically the skull, the little Beetlejuice skull heads.
Yep. Yes. And the steering wheel has been bent forward by Del.
The knuckles deep almost in the dash.
The dash. He's got
so many great little things there.
Yeah.
I love when, they're okay. And Del trying to laugh it off. I mean, that was close. We can laugh about it now. We're all right now. Like, he's trying to convince himself and Neil. It's okay. Nothing happened. It's so good.
How would you keep it together if you're Neil? Your driver just rocketed you down the interstate the wrong direction, like going against traffic. Like, holy.
Well, and you don't, because then after that happens, the car blows up in flames. So.
Yes. So that's a great scene, again, because the trunk has been launched onto the interstate. Now, Del's got to walk over and get it. And he's complaining about his back, my back. So he kind of looks over his shoulder to see if Neil's going to come help him. And then they're sitting on the trunk, and the car starts on fire because Del, smoking a cigarette, throws it out the window, how many miles back, and it blows back in the window into the back seat, starts the car on fire. And they both turn and see that it's on fire, and then turn back. Not turn, holy shit, the car's on fire, and try to put it out. They have this realization, and then Neil starts laughing because Del's the one who rented the vehicle. So he's the one whose name is on it. He's in the most trouble. But this is where, again, for me, this is a huge plot hole, because how did Neil rent a car without his credit card? Because
Neil didn't rent a car.
How did he get the rental car agreement to go on the bus and go get the car?
Okay, right.
Yeah. So that was always a big plot hole for me. It's like, well, if he didn't have his credit card, how did he rent one? Or why didn't he notice that he was missing his credit card at that point when he went into his wallet to rent the car?
And they're still not completely at rock bottom yet, because they've got Neil's wallet, but then they realize that Del put it into the glove box before the car went up in flames.
Right.
And I love the line about, I thought you put it there because they got their wallets mixed up, right? And he thought, I thought you put it there to be nice.
Yeah.
And he shakes, why would I put it there?
Oh my God, it's so
Kindness. Good. So you love that scene, and so do I, obviously. But I also love then the El Rancho Motel and the calm afterwards, because this scene isn't as funny, but it's so important because Neil is able to. First of all, I had the question earlier. Okay, the car is driving still. Why don't they just keep going to Chicago? They're an
cold.
hour and a half away.
It's freaking cold.
Look what they've been through. They can't handle that.
Yeah.
So Neil miraculously gets a hotel room, and then it starts to snow, and Del's out there, and Neil actually has pity and calls him in.
Yeah.
But then I love, they start drinking the little alcohol bottles, and they start opening up to each other again. And I just love that scene, how they bond over that, and you learn a lot, and you start to think more about what Del's really going through and what his real situation is. And Del could have taken the car and driven away, right? Probably, but he doesn't do that either. So I like that scene, and I think it's really sweet when they bond back together there, and it's necessary.
Yeah. I do like when they pull into the motel, Del's line, one good thing, with all this fresh air, we're going to sleep like babies. He's always trying to put a positive spin on it because obviously he's the one who got him into this huge mess. The question I have, so Neil's able to get a room because he has $17 and a really nice watch.
Really nice
right?
watch.
He's down to nothing. And all Dell has is $2 and a Casio, which he really tries to sell. Where did they get the money for the booze and the chips?
Well,
is that in Dell's case?
I just thought there was like a mini bar, and they're probably not going to pay for it. I don't know. I never thought about that either.
I mean, in a motel,
booze I assumed was in the fridge in the hotel, but it's not free.
A motel that has a block on long distance calls wouldn't have a mini bar.
They wouldn't have that.
So
that trunk has a lot of stuff in it, right? So it's probably
it could be. Dell could have all that stowed away in his trunk next to Marie's mummified body. So
so they wake up the next day. It's Thanksgiving morning, and they're back on the road. And I love the song "Blue Moon of Kentucky" and how they're happy and they're just cruising down the road. Now we're going to get home, even though the car it's riding. But of course. And then they said there was a comment in there where they were 3 hours to Chicago.
Yes.
But no, you showed us the sign. You're only 100 miles away. So at least have things match up.
That was when they got in the truck after the car has been impounded. And Dell gets the trucker to give them a ride. And that's when he says...
was before that.
Oh, but also that's when they're in the back of the truck. Like the semi.
But the whole trip is only 4.5 hours. So you know that they were far. Yeah. Anyway, doesn't quite add up. But they get to the L in Chicago and they say goodbye.
I got one more thing with the trooper.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, the trooper. Michael
the trooper. I love when he comes up to the car and he goes, Do you think this is a
yes,
roadworthy vehicle? And Dell goes, we had a small fire last night, but we caught it in the nick of time.
Nick of time. It's hard to tell how fast, with any degree of accuracy, how fast we were going, given we have a melted speedometer. We have no functioning gauges, but the radio still works. Crazy thing.
Blares a bell. Yeah, it's just he
repeats the melted speedometer twice. Like, have pity. We have a melted speedometer, so of course it's no problem. You'll let us go.
Oh my God! And again, he's trying to be a great salesman, right? He's like, "Officer, you got me. I'm not going to argue with you one iota, but I have to get my friend home for Thanksgiving." And, the officer's like, no way, man. Like this, I can't let you go ahead in this vehicle. So they end up impounding it. Now they're somewhere in 3 hours from Chicago still, which makes no sense. But if they would have kept the scene in where the trooper says, you're way north of Chicago, you drove past, that would have made sense.
There's a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
So we don't see much on the semi. They get dropped off at the L, and they say their goodbyes because they think, Neil thinks Dell's going somewhere, right? And I love this scene too. I love the music that's playing, and I love the cuts back and forth to the previous scenes and the reactions, and Neil figuring it out that when he said, "I haven't been home in years," like why would he say that? And it's just I forget how the music sounds, but it fits well. I read somebody who complained that this movie was almost ruined by the score, and I think the music is pretty great. It's very different in different parts, and it fits. I
think it was Leonard Maltin,
with one exception, which we'll get to in a second. But he figures it out, and so he gets back on the train going the other way to go pick him up and take him home with him. And it's just iconic, the image of them walking down the middle of the street, that beautiful street, with the trunk in their hands, and then the music plays, and it starts good because it's Every Time You Go Away. But then you realize it's a shitty cover, and that woman's voice is terrible. So that's where the music loses it there. But the song choice and the music part is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always had an issue. In my notes, I have what kind of dicks walk down the middle of the road carrying the trunk.
There, they're all in their house enjoying their Thanksgiving meal, so they don't have to worry about that.
But
it makes for a great shot.
Yes, it's a great shot, phenomenal shot. But one thing that I always think of when Neil comes back into the L station, how small Dell looks sitting there, because he is just back to being alone again. Yep. And there's nobody else in this L station because it's Thanksgiving. Everybody's home with their families, and he's just there alone. And it's just so hard to see that. And then Neil, says, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you here?" And then, of course, picks him up, takes him home with him, and he's going to have, Thanksgiving dinner with his family. So it's just absolutely wonderful. It's such a beautiful ending to a very
the
funny
last
movie.
scene in the movie is John Candy smiling, and I think that's a beautiful way to end it too. Like, we focus on him, and he's smiling at when it goes to black.
Well, I'm assuming that's also the reason you love the movie Uncle Buck, because it ends the exact same way.
Oh God. No, but I was just thinking here again, and I've thought it many times before, but I kind of forgot. But another reason why I love John Candy in this movie. So a year ago, like, my favorite uncle died from Sioux Falls, and he was they were like my second parents. I spent so much time there. But he was a bigger guy, and he was verbose, and he talked all the time, and too much for some people at times. But as a kid, I just loved him, and he was the kindest human being who would do anything for anybody. So no matter, even if people found him annoying at times, he would do anything for you. And he was just like John Candy. And that's just another, when I think of Thanksgiving and I think of family and I think of this, it's just makes me think of him again. And that's kind of nice. So
that is awesome. That's nice.
All right.
Well, awesome movie. Great movie. Glad we finally got around to covering this thing.
Yeah. And we definitely got into the details too. So, but it was fun.
We did. Great movie. Wonderful Hughes film that wasn't about, teenagers or young people. So, yeah. Wonderful.
All right. Well, our draft tonight, so we were coming with different ideas, but we haven't focused, even though we've talked a lot about Steve Martin on this show, we've never done a Steve Martin draft. We've never talked much about John Candy before. So considering this movie is so important, the two actors, we're going to draft our favorite movies that star either one of them. So it could be both people, or it could be just Steve Martin movie or a John Candy movie. But our favorite movies by or starring either one of these guys.
Yep.
And
these are crazy guys.
In our thankfulness, in our empathy and good-natured spirits, we gave Pete the first pick tonight, even though he's not here. Usually we make him go last, but we're going to give him. Yep. We have his list, and so he's going to pick first by me through proxy. And his first overall pick is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I think is a great one, considering if we're going to draft both guys, might as well take this one because they're both in it.
Correct. Yes. This was in my top two. So yeah, that's a great pick by Pete.
I actually have it listed as fourth, but I might have picked it overall number one if I would have gone number one. I don't know, but and I also was kind and gave you the second pick.
Yes, thank you very much. And I am going to take Pete's second overall pick here. I'm going to go Three Amigos. These are for me the top two in this draft, so I'm going to go with Three Amigos.
And you know how much we love Three Amigos, and you can go back and listen to our 100th episode where we get into it and have one of the best hours of our lives. Yeah. All right. Well, those are the two biggest ones, I think, when it comes to this. I'm going to surprise you. No, I'm not. I'm going to take LA Story.
Yeah,
I'm going to take LA Story. I mean, LA Story, I know it's not going to get the most votes, but it is maybe my all-time favorite movie, and it's the perfect Steve Martin movie. I mean, it's my number one on my list. I was going to try to be sneaky or do something else, but I'm not.
Yeah, you go with your heart. That's a good way to go.
We have a nice long episode on LA Story out there, too, and we talked a lot about Steve Martin on that one. All right, Pete's number 2 pick will be his third overall, and that is Spaceballs. With the Mog. Barf.
Yeah.
Half man,
I'm
half
my
dog.
own best friend. All right. I am going to take the aforementioned Uncle Buck. I love this movie. I know it's nowhere on your list.
Nope.
But absolutely love Uncle Buck. I just rewatched it recently after watching the documentary I Like Me. I watched Splash, and I watched Uncle Buck again.
All right, well, then I'm going to take the movie that I almost took number one just because it was such a huge movie for this guy, because it was like his first big one, and it took everybody by storm. So I'm going to pick The Jerk. Again, we have an episode on The Jerk as well.
And I believe that was your selection.
It was.
Yeah, and just like LA Story.
Yep. Okay,
all right.
Oh, Pete. Now we're back to Pete. Pete's next one on his list would be Splash, starring Tom Hanks and John Candy as well. Another one that I saw. I remember seeing that in the theater, actually. My whole family, I feel like, went to that movie.
And I just watched it for the first time after that documentary. I had never seen the whole thing all the way through.
Watching it for the first time ever now, what did you think of it?
I mean, it's idiotic, but John Candy is awesome in it. Tom Hanks is awesome in it. I'm always one who likes, some 80s boobs, so I like that as well. But, I mean, it's ridiculous, but still fun, So, yeah,
I haven't seen it in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Probably since the 80s, I bet.
All right. Back to me. I'm going with another movie that you just don't care about and not going to be on your list, but I love it. I'm going Great Outdoors.
I was writing it down before you even said it.
I'm feeling pretty good. I got...
And to be clear...
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to watch Uncle Buck or The Great Outdoors, it's fine. I just don't think they're very funny. Like, compared to some of these other movies, they just don't hit me. Either one of them. Mm-hmm. Outside of John Candy getting chased and jumped on by the bear. That is classic.
Yeah, but Roman is such a great character. And it's a good family movie, I mean, him and his son Buck, bonding and stuff between him and his wife. I don't know. I love it. I think it's great.
Good. Well, I'm going to take one. It's more of a cameo, but it is a very, very memorable role. And it's another movie we did and one of all of our favorite all-time movies, maybe amongst the Three Amigos is probably number one, but amongst the three of us, this might be our favorite collective movie.
Yep.
That's Vacation. Yeah. And John Candy, Moose Out Front should have told you.
Well, and that's the thing. It's an awesome movie. I didn't take it ahead of Great Outdoors because it's a smaller role for Candy, but the movie itself, oh my God. I'll watch Vacation over Great Outdoors. I've seen Vacation a million more times. But
and his role is great, even though it's short. I mean, he really helps. And that movie, of course, we probably talked about, it tested horribly at the end when they had the original ending. And, he's a huge part of how it finishes great.
Right.
And so happy and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pete's next pick after Splash. He's going to get Home Alone. Another one where John Candy, not really maybe a cameo, but a small role that really makes the movie, makes it even better than it was.
Yes. And he's such a
all
great...
shot in one day and
all one day.
Improvised basically. And we did a Home Alone too. We got episodes on, the majority of these movies here.
Yep.
We'd really like you to listen to them if you haven't.
All right. I am going to go with The Blues Brothers, an early entry into his filmography. He was detective on the film. Again, larger than life.
Okay, that brings me then back to Steve Martin, Father of the Bride.
Yep.
One
Good
that
pick.
I loved all the time, even when I was 15 years old and it came out. But you really, I've always felt a kinship with Steve Martin. But this role as an adult, as a dad, come on. That's when my daughter gets married. We're going to be watching that movie.
It's a blue tuxedo.
And I would be the kind of guy that would go in a grocery store and try to take the same amount of buns and hot dogs.
Exactly. It's
because it makes no sense.
Yes, I agree. Yes. All right, Pete. What's Pete got next then? Oh, that's a good one.
Pete's next pick is Roxanne.
Yes.
20-something betters. Great scene in that movie.
In that one. All right, Pete. That's his last pick?
Yep, your last pick is up.
Oh, and I feel great about my last pick. Again, not one on your list, but I love it. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Oh, yeah.
With Ruprecht.
And again, if it was on and I had to watch it, whatever, that's fine. But compared to the other Steve Martin movies, it just doesn't do it for me.
Sure.
But again, there's a couple, this scene, like poking himself in the eye, that whole dinner scene, like that's what I think of right away, and it's hilarious.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, then I feel like I should add another John Candy to my list.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a really fun and sweet movie that was, towards the end of his career here, Cool Runnings.
See, didn't watch it.
You've never seen that? Oh, you'd like it. That is a really good movie.
Well, and
I
that is a movie
class a few years ago again with the kids, and that was a good one to watch. And he's great because he's the star here. And
so in this movie, when he's talking to the trooper, he says, "It may not look pretty, but it'll get you where you want to go." And that's the exact same line he uses in Cool Runnings, evidently. I've not seen the movie.
Oh, does he? About the bobsled?
About the bobsled.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have some more here left over.
Yeah. You want to go through Pete's list?
I'll just run through Pete's quick. So he had one that I also had written down. I think it's a terrible movie, but we both remembered liking it as kids, and that's Who's Harry Crumb, where John Candy's like a bumbling detective. He has the movie Novocaine, where Steve Martin is a dentist, which was a really good movie. I had that on my list as well. Not so much a comedy, more of like a really dark kind of comedy mystery, but it's good. He has Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor and John Candy. He has Shop Girl, which Steve Martin wrote that book, and then they made a movie. And then he has JFK, which, again, John Candy with a very memorable, like more serious cameo in JFK. And I had that too.
And that was one I wrote down because I was like, well, he's in the movie. I went through their filmographies and I'm like, I didn't see so many of their movies. Obviously, you know them. You know the films and the names, but it's like I haven't seen so many of these films.
So I'll do mine last. What else did you have?
So I had Parenthood.
Yes,
on my list. Parenthood,
another
was
great
a good
one where you can really relate to him, especially as a dad. And it's he wasn't even a dad at that time, and like he just
neither was I.
You'd never guess so because he's so great at it.
Yeah. And then I had 2 TV credits. SNL, of course, more so with Martin, wild and crazy guy. And then An Evening You'll Forget for the Rest of Your Life. Him and Marty is awesome. I know.
Well, I could I saw their show live.
Yeah,
I wanted to see it so bad that I went by myself with a single ticket because nobody could go, and I just kind of went, and it was great to see those two out there live in front of me. It was amazing.
Yeah, and then Murders, obviously.
Only Murders in the Building.
I watched the first 2 seasons, started the third, and this isn't for me anymore.
It just finished its 5th season, and it was great. I love this new season.
Really? Okay. Maybe I'll have to try it again.
Okay, so here's my rest. Have you not seen Bowfinger?
I think I watched it when it came out, and I wasn't overly impressed.
I think it ages better than I think it's really good.
Really?
I don't think I loved it at first, but I think if you watch it again, you realize him and Nettie. It's really good.
Okay.
So I had that next. I had The Spanish Prisoner, which I brought up before. It's a total straight dramatic role by Steve Martin, and
I watched that on your request,
and it's awesome.
Nope.
You said SNL. We should also throw out SCTV.
SCTV, of course.
Even though we didn't actually really ever watch it, but
no, I didn't.
Another dramatic role. So in 1991, Steve Martin had L.A. Story. He had Father of the Bride, and he did the movie Grand Canyon with Kevin Kline and like a whole cast of people, like a serious
movie. Was Meryl Streep in that?
No, but like Mary McDonnell was, and I can't remember who else was in it. Oh, Danny Glover's in it.
Okay.
But that's a movie that I thought was great. I mean, what a year. He had 3 big movies there. Here's the other movie they were both in. Little Shop of Horrors, which I think you've never seen, right?
I've never seen Little Shop of Horrors, right? That's a huge hole in my
So I
pop
actually
culture
can't remember
knowledge.
where John Candy is, but he's in it. But Steve Martin, he was a dentist in Novocaine, but he's also a maniacal dentist in Little Shop of Horrors, and he is amazing in that movie. And then I had just a couple others. I had It's Complicated that he was in with Meryl Streep, right? And Alec Baldwin. That's a new, like from the 2000s. And then a couple movies. One movie that is god awful. I loved it as a kid. I watched it a few years ago. It's terrible. Armed and Dangerous. Eugene Levy and John Candy.
Yeah,
never watched.
Didn't watch that one.
And Meg Ryan too. But don't let that fool you. Don't watch it. But then there's 2 others that I've seen, and I think they're probably at least okay. John Candy was in Summer Rental, and you did Volunteers with Tom Hanks. And I know I watched those as a kid. I don't know how good they are anymore, but those were movies that I've seen, and I at least I enjoyed at one time.
Well, and of course, I just remembered, I don't know why I didn't write it on my list, but Stripes, for God's sakes.
Yeah, you guys all love Stripes, and you didn't even put it on in your list.
I forgot to write it down. I don't know how I didn't write it down, but it just sprung into my mind.
Pete didn't either, and Pete's the one that picked it.
Yeah, the mud wrestling scene is iconic.
So we have a recent episode on Stripes, too.
Yep. Yes, we do.
All right. Sweet. Well, that was a lot, but it was really fun. Hopefully the listener had a little bit of fun with us.
I hope so as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've been just giving thanks all month, and now we are going to have to close the yearbook on that.
Yep.
Special section. But we're going to open a new special section next month, so we're just going to keep on rolling.
Yeah. Do you want to mention at all stuff that we've got coming up here?
Sure. So we gave thanks this month. We had a good time. Next month, we are going to kind of give some thanks and a potpourri. So our second season, Pete had the idea of doing an in memoriam in December where we picked somebody who died, because you always got to talk about celebrity deaths, and then did something that they did that we liked. So we're going to kind of do that again. But we had some titans die this year. We had Gene Hackman, we had Diane Keaton, and we had Robert Redford. And so our next 3 weeks are all going to be devoted to those three actors and movies that they did that we love.
Yep.
And then for our Christmas episode, we're going to go and talk about all the Christmas specials. So we've done all the movies that we love for the most part, but we're going to talk a little more about Charlie Brown and Rudolph and the Grinch and all the specials.
Frosty and
yeah. And in between Christmas and New Year's, we're going to do a movie that covers both. We're going to talk about Trading Places, which is going to be fun.
Yep.
So, and we might have another one coming after that too.
We might,
but Gifford hasn't decided yet, so we'll keep it a secret.
Yep. Yeah. We'll that'll be wrapped up under the tree for you. We'll maybe open it up after the first of the year.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like a December to remember at PCY.
It does. Oh my God. So good. Well, excellent. Say, hey, Brad.
Hey, what?
Hey, which band had a great gig in Stubbville?
Stubbville. Oh, that was Preacher Row.
That was Preacher Row. Yes.
They put on the concert for people in Stubbville.
Correct.
If they would have done it in Wichita, it would have been hogs and cattle.
Yeah, they don't stick to the hogs and the cattle. Yeah.
All right. Well, bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody.